Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. Liverpool's grand transfer plan is starting to reveal itself as critical summer period awaits. Second news is Alexis Mac Allister position addressed as Arne Slot makes X-rated Liverpool admission. Now details. The beauty of Liverpool clinching the Premier League title in April of last season was that it allowed them to plan better for the months ahead. According to Arne Slot himself, that the Reds had secured their pre-season ambition with a month to spare enabled him to sit down more with sporting director Richard Hughes to outline what was desired for the upcoming summer transfer window. If I look at the way we think about next season and our squad, these are things that are on my mind, Slot said at the time. I think we can find one or two extra weapons that this team doesn't have. As a result, their status as champions, and the riches accompanying a top-spot finish in the world's most lucrative league, helped the club embark on the most ambitious period of player trading in their history, where around £450 was spent and around half of that was recouped. Jurgen Klopp used to say it was during the March international break when he was finally able to get around to speaking to fellow Anfield insiders about prospective summer targets. But the problem for Liverpool right now is the uncertainty surrounding their Champions League status. The next month might bring some clarity on what awaits the Reds, but it's undeniable that missing out will harm recruitment plans. Football careers are short, and while sporting director Hughes may be able to sell the Anfield dream to so many potential recruits later this year, a term outside of the revamped European Cup will undoubtedly count against Liverpool in negotiations. That being said, the eye-watering outlay of 2025 is starting to bear real fruit, which bodes well for a club heading into a summer where major squad surgery might once more be required. The Slot-Hughes regime is improving its reputation by the week when it comes to acquisitions. 15-goal Hugo Ekitike has been the pick of the bunch. The France international is expected to finish his maiden campaign at Anfield as the club's first top scorer not named Mohamed Salah since Philippe Coutinho's haul of 14 years ago. Liverpool feel their No-22 has all the tools to become one of the finest multifunctional forwards in European football, and an exciting first term with the Reds has hinted at that potential at times. Florian Wirtz has steadily grasped the velocity of the English game and has generally been excellent since late November. Much more is expected of the £116 playmaker, but it has been a good few months for the Germany international, who appears ready to embrace more responsibility for the Reds during the final few months of the term. Wirtz has been one of the most consistent performers during a run that has seen the Reds lose just twice in 19 games, and the attacking midfielder's form deservedly earned him the club's Player of the Month award for January. Milos Kerkez looks a different player to the rash fullback who appeared overawed at the start of his Liverpool journey, and Jeremy Frimpong, in between frustrating injury layoffs, has added an extra dimension to the right side of Slot's team with his searing pace and willingness to drive at the opposition. Teenage defender Giovanni Leoni cannot be judged, yet as he recovers from an ACL injury, and backup goalkeeper Georgi Mamardashvili will be entrusted to lead the club out of the Alisson Becker era in the coming years. Alexander Isak, of course, remains the odd one out, but the £125 striker has 3 years of sterling service at Newcastle, 54 goals in total, as evidence to back up why he will eventually make the grade at Liverpool once he recovers from what has been a fitness-blighted and injury-plagued campaign. The wisdom of spending a mind-blowing total of £320 on just 3 players can be debated at length, considering the club allowed as many as 7 players who made 10 or more league appearances to leave, however. But Liverpool's track record under Hughes and Slot proves they have an ambitious recruitment department determined to target the best in class. This is why Champions League qualification remains critical to the future at Anfield. Liverpool's grand plan for the summer of 2025 is starting to reveal itself, but the club can't afford to let the second part of that, this coming summer, be cut off from the Champions League bounty. Second news is Alexis Mac Allister position addressed as Arne Slot makes X-rated Liverpool admission. Arne Slot has pinpointed the reason behind Alexis Mac Allister's recent improved form that has prompted renewed transfer talk surrounding the Liverpool midfielder. Mac Allister was this week linked with interest from bitter northwest rivals Manchester United, having long been courted by Spanish side Real Madrid. His father Carlos, however, subsequently issued a short statement declaring the player is only concerned at present about the possibility of a new deal at Anfield as he approaches the final 2 years of his current contract signed when arriving from Brighton for £35 million in the summer of 2023. Mac Allister's performance levels dipped during the first half of the season as he struggled for fitness after nursing a long-term injury problem, with Slot also highlighting the difficulty in building new partnerships after the squad overhaul during the summer. I think it's always a combination of factors, but fitness is a very important one, said Slot, whose team are at Nottingham Forest on Sunday afternoon. I think the moment a player starts to play more and more games, he gets fitter and fitter. He's not the only example of that. Dominik Szoboszlai is an example of that. After 2.5 years, you cannot compare him anymore with the player of 2.5 years ago. Mainly the focus is on Hugo Ekitike and Florian Wirtz and the new ones, but Dom had the same trajectory. The second thing is if you bring in a few new players and a few leave, then you need new connections in the team, so that takes a bit of time before everyone is ready, especially if you cannot constantly play with the same team for the reasons I've explained many times. They were not fit enough to play every single time, every 3 days. So that takes then a little bit of time, and if you score a set piece against Sunderland, then the last half hour feels nicer than if you concede against Nottingham Forest after half an hour. Speaking earlier this year, Mac Allister suggested Liverpool had changed too many things during the summer transfer market, and Slot accepts the time it has taken the new signings time to adjust to the Reds' pressing game made it difficult for the Argentina international to produce his best form. One of the things that hurts you if you are not as fit as we are now is the pressing, said the Reds boss. And if you are more open in pressing, and what I mean by open is not that we conceded 15 counterattacks, which some pundits try to say, which is not true, but we weren't as effective in our pressing as we were last season because we were not ready enough yet, and that takes a bit of time. Now we are much more ready. Even against Manchester City, you could see that we could play 45 minutes in the second half. Even in the first half there were more signs that we were good, but people maybe didn't really notice. That has improved a lot, and if that was not on the right level yet, then midfielders and defenders are more exposed. Because they play through you, they can bring an extra player into the midfield. So the better we press in the first line, the less problems we have over there. But you cannot have the most ball possession in the league if everything was S***T throughout the whole season. We were at a good level, we've been very unlucky, which I've said 120 times, but we are better now. Having started 6 of the last 7 Premier League games, Mac Allister will be hoping to retain his place in midfield, although Ryan Gravenberch is pushing for a recall after being benched for the FA Cup win over Brighton last weekend. Hugo Ekitike is also poised to return in attack, while Joe Gomez could be asked to fill in at right-back, having returned from a hip injury with successive substitute appearances. Liverpool will be hoping to avenge a shock 3-0 home defeat earlier this season when they travel to Forest, where they have won only 1 league game in 42 years. But when asked if that November beating was the lowest point of the season, Slot said, "We had a few. Burnley felt really, really tough, the 1-1. City felt really hard as well because we played so well. We deserved so much more. Which other ones did we have? The first one defeat is always difficult, Palace away. Leeds was really tough, Bournemouth was really tough, all because it was in the last second of the games. Unbelievable. So sometimes being unlucky is hard, sometimes not getting what you deserve is hard. And we've hardly lost a game of football where you can accept, okay, this one is acceptable. Maybe City away was probably the only one. That wasn't nice to experience, but was what the one that was most deserved for us to lose.